Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Real Arsenal Deal podcast. This is Rav, your host, recording this Monday morning here in Melbourne, Australia. It's a bit chilly now that the daylight savings has finished. Weather is changing, right? Change of seasons and same old problems, unfortunately, for Arsenal from what we've endured over the weekend. Firstly, thank you so much for tuning in. Sorry, it's been a little bit of time since I last recorded. I've been quite busy and hectic few days here. Of course, I watch every match. I was wanting to record post draw with Everton yesterday, and I just felt, I'm not sure if anyone else can resonate with my choice of words here, but I'm tired. It's the same discussions, and yes, it's not all about the referees, and I think we are all, as Arsenal fans, as frustrating as it is, I think we're all wise enough to realize there are more issues than just copying these ridiculous decisions that no one else cops. We know we can take things into our control. We know Arsenal need to do more. We know we need to be able to unlock these low blocks, which we continually come up against these types of teams. We know all that, right? So ideally, aspirationally, it shouldn't matter, right, about the referees. It shouldn't matter that we get these penalty calls and all sorts of decisions, because we should be able to convert our chances, put 2 or 3 on the board, right? You take that option off the table. Unfortunately for Arsenal, is that because we just have these same recurring issues, our goals have dried up this season compared to last, of course, heavily influenced by injuries and whatnot, right? I just think I get a sense of just tiredness talking about the same things play out time and time again, and I'm so glad we've got the Real Madrid tie to look forward to, because let's be absolutely honest, right? And I'm dreading a scenario if we worst case scenario, if we get hammered and we are out of this competition in a week or so's time, because the remaining few league matches, they're going to feel really, really difficult to watch. Combination of a number of things, right? Liverpool are running away with it. And, ironically, as I say that, they lost this morning to Fulham, who absolutely deserved the win from the highlights I watched. And just, it's the story of the season, right? We knew that we just had to stay in the room, just get to April, get some players back. If we could maximize our points tally as best as possible, keep that gap within somewhat closing distance. We go to Anfield, beat them. Right, their gameplay. They've had they've had such a big run themselves. All right, they might wobble, and it's up to us to be there to capitalize. And we just haven't done it. Unfortunately, we haven't done it. Too many draws, shocking loss against West Ham that no one really saw coming, and we fizzled out. And they now, and all credit to them, of course, they've earned the right now. They've got such a buffer that they can have a wobble and still comfortably close in on the Premier League titles. So it's just a source of frustration, right? That we didn't do our job consistently. We didn't stay in the room for a host of reasons, and we are where we are now. That all of our chips in the is it the roulette table? Is that, I'm not a gambling man, I'm sorry. So that saying about we put all our chips into one corner onto one number, right? It's the Champions League for us now. Otherwise, watching this play out, the remaining Premier League matches as the season drags on, right? That could be really difficult, and we don't want that. We don't want that scenario, right? Like we need to keep the enthusiasm primed for because there's still a good 6-8 weeks of the season to go, right? It'll be a tremendous shame for the players, for the club, for the fans, for the energy around the entire institution, for us to just sort of completely fizzle out now and just sort of limp to the line, limp to the finish, and look to next summer and next season for glory. So look, that was quite a long introduction. Sorry for all that, but I was just trying to encapsulate just a sense of it's a range of emotions I was feeling watching that. I just felt numb watching it. The moment, look, this is the cynical side of me, right? The moment he blew the whistle and called for the penalty, I just knew that was it. I knew that. I knew it was going to, the decision would stand, because I have no confidence. I have no trust in the VAR process. What actually is their point aside from upgrading yellow cards to red cards for Arsenal for denying a goal scoring opportunity, right? But like, what else is really their purpose? How can it continue to get through all these levels, all these checks? And how quick did the checks seem to be that they just cleared the foul? Firstly, was it even a foul? Right, it was an entanglement with Lewis Skelly and the Everton player Harrison, I believe. And then it was outside the box. And they both had a piece of each other. If anything, it was a 50-50, right? Like, you could have paid a free kick either way. But then he fell over. He didn't even appeal for the free kick. He got up to play the ball. Like, such was the bizarre nature of how it unfolded. It didn't look a free kick to me at all. And then to give a penalty for that, and then to not have someone in the ref's ear to say, hey, mate, you may just want to go check the monitor on this one. Do you believe that is worthy enough of such a severe consequence, a penalty? I've got no trust in the system, no faith, and I knew it would stand. It was inevitable. I kind of also knew that he would score, like just such was the tone of the match, I guess, and the circumstances. And Raya's doing this weird thing lately where he just dives. Like he wasn't doing this some time ago, especially against the penalty shootout against Porto last season in the Champions League. Like he was masterful in his control, watching the strike take play and the key saves he made in that shootout. It was just bizarre. Look. I don't want to spend too much time on the game itself because we know it is a game of overall little sort of consequence to Arsenal. Thankfully, Forest lost. So if anything, we extended our lead in second place by a point, and if anything, we've also cut Liverpool's gap back by a point as well, right? Depending which way you want to look at it. So the match itself. I really liked Arteta rotating. Like, he won't publicly say it, but he knows the league's done. He knows it's gone, right? We need to protect players. We've got an enormous match in a few days' time, Real Madrid at the Emirates. It's going to be rocking. It's going to be so incredible to be there. If you're going, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to share your experiences, please. It'll just be awe-inspiring to be there. It's a 5 a.m. kickoff here. I already know I'm going to struggle. I'm going to struggle to even sleep that night. Like my body clock will be ready. I'll probably be waking up at 2, 3, 4, looking at the clock. I reckon by 4:30 or so, I'll be out of bed. And I've already told my family. I've apologized in advance. I've said I'll be as quiet as I can, come into the lounge room and putting the TV on. And sorry for any brightness, whatever from the TV. I'll have my headset ready, listen on my Bluetooth earphones, and I'm ready to rock. Like, it's just going to be incredible. The entire pre-match, the build-up, the atmosphere in the stadium, the anthem, like, I can't wait. It's going to be so good. So good on Mikel for rotating. We certainly needed to. And pleasingly, again, depending which way you want to look at it, whilst the result was disappointing and Arsenal certainly did enough to beat Everton, I'll come back to that in a moment. Pleasingly, we got through with nothing else, no other injuries, right? And I didn't record post Fulham last week. Again, a deserved victory for Arsenal. We did really well that match, given the situation. Gabriel going down in the first half, like that really sunk me. It really hurt. You could see on his face he knew, like he knew straight away, right? It was a matter of is it a standard 3-weeker, right? Just for more of a stock standard hamstring strain, but no, such as the volume of football and such as the severity of the injuries Arsenal seem to endure this season, that it's another hamstring off the bone requiring corrective surgery. It's awful, just absolutely awful. And the look on his face, he knew that Real Madrid was done. He knew it. It was really awful to watch. At the other end of the emotional spectrum, the scenes of Bukayo coming back, I almost shed a tear. It doesn't really make much sense, I know, but maybe others felt the same. It was enormous. I have not seen a return of a player like that since Henry against Leeds, 2012, I believe it was. I was late for work, well and truly late for work that morning, given the kickoff time. I was watching from home, and I was just losing my mind watching that. And then he scored again just a few minutes a few minutes after coming on. If VAR was in place back then, right, I don't think the goal would have stood. He certainly looked offside to me on the replays when Song played him through. But anyway, in similar spirit, in similar fashion, Bukayo scored just a few minutes after coming on. Brilliant flick by Martinelli, who was one of the best games I've seen him play in many seasons in that match against Fulham. So Bukayo coming back, losing Gabriel, it just seems to be the story of the season, right? And we had to make sure that we didn't cop anything else this match against Everton. And look, Mikel deserves credit for that, right? Like we're such a well-coached team. Like, it really must be said. And I know that this does little comfort for most people, right? They look at the table and say, we're second place. What does it actually mean? Is it going to get us a trophy? And I understand the cynicism with that, right? But I look at Arsenal, I look at 5 changes, one of them very pleasingly being Ben White back. I'll come back to that in a second, the lead up to Real Madrid. But Arsenal as a system, we are so well coached that we've got this plug and play mentality that the great City sides had for many seasons, that whoever comes in or out, they know the system. Kiwior, to his credit, he did really, really well. I saw he was awarded man of the match, and look, whether it's a man of the match performance or not, I don't know. All I can say is I think he performed quite well. Some important blocks and some very nice passes. One beautiful ball he put Trossard through, who should have done better with, I felt. Kiwior comes in, Jorginho in front of him. They just, the way they interlinked together so beautifully. There was just full confidence in whoever stepped in to play the balls. It was just a very fluid system. Raya had no hesitation distributing the ball across to Saliba or Kiwior, whoever was the better option. Kiwior received excellent support by Saliba. Jorginho receiving from deep many times, and he had a lot of space in front of him, driving the ball out. He sees things 2 or 3 passes ahead before they happen. We're just a very, very well coached team, an excellent system, and it's just that final ball, that final delivery. It's where we really struggle with. And so, look, Arsenal just we need, as good as complimentary as I'm being, we also know what's missing. You can't have 80% of the puzzle completed, right? But just not fail 80 or 90% and just fail to put in those finishing touches, which completes it. And we all know where those positions are, right? We've been speaking about them repeatedly, frequently for the last few months. Arsenal need to complete that picture, because when we do, whoever that choice is, Šeško or Gyökeres, whoever it may be, my goodness, we are going to be on the verge of something glorious. We just need to complete that picture. And a match like this, it's great that Andrea Berta was in the stands watching, because he can see it firsthand what we need. The way the team set up against us, it's because they know how to negate Arsenal. The low blocks, the mid blocks. I mean, we're going to come across. You come across this almost every second week in the Premier League. That whole tier of mid to lower range clubs, right? We're going to be facing consistently these types of matches, and the onus is on us to do the job, to get enough goals on the board that we take the other crap off the table. The refereeing decisions, I'm tired of talking about all that, and can we just take it out of their hands? Take it out of everyone else's hands. It's in our hands. It's in Arsenal's hands. It's within the players' hands. Remove all the other noise, and let's just go out there and be good enough, clinical enough to get the score on the board that we cannot then be derailed by the continuous crap we see. And there was even a moment I mentioned earlier, Trossard, he was taken down in the box. There was this wild sliding challenge from Tarkowski, right? And Trossard, I understand there's a noble element to this, that he tried to stay on his feet. He wanted to take his shot, right? However, just, street smarts also come into it. How many times have we seen other players in similar situations? They feel the contact and go down. Then you give the referee a decision to make. And look, 10 times out of 10, that's a penalty, right? It's a penalty. It's a penalty. He got past him. He slid in late, didn't get any of the ball. Trossard was through, and then he had to leap over him, right? So take the contact and go down, right? So for me, that's what I want the players to do, because the margins are so tight, yeah? And we are fighting at the top of the table for it to try and unlock every single possible point we can to climb that final mountain. Take the hit, get the penalty, right? And then hopefully, we convert that and we score. We just too often these little moments, right, that they come and go, and then when the roles are reversed in a similar way, we're punished to the maximum for our mistakes. I just feel this match really encapsulated. You could have caught it into a bottle, right? Captured it into a bottle about the issues that Arsenal have been facing and unable to overcome just yet. I had a quick glance at the goal tally from last season. From memory, sorry, I should have written it down as I come through my notes now on this recording. I believe there's a goal differential now of 33 or 34 goals. From what we've currently scored, 56, to last year, I believe we ended up on 90, perhaps 91 goals. But anyway, with the number of games still to play, the reality is we're not scoring, we're not going on the run that we did this time last season when we were regularly hitting teams for 6, scoring 4, 5, 6 goals, right, emptying stadiums like that. That's just not going to happen through injuries and other factors, of course. However, Arsenal's goals have dried up. Trossard, fantastic that he scored it, and it was an excellent goal. And Sterling, I was just hoping Sterling didn't botch it by trying to drive through and run himself, because his final action, he usually looks for a free kick or just, he just struggles to get past his defender. But, thankfully he did his part and Trossard did the rest. Right? Our goals have otherwise dried up. Odegaard's goals have dried up, unfortunately. Trossard, I believe that was his 5th goal. And when you look at the volume of minutes he's played, right, his goal per minute ratio last season was sensational. He was quite often coming on as a substitute, impacting matches, right? We haven't had the same luxury given the amount of injuries, so he's had to play basically every match. And his goals have dried up since, unfortunately, and we're not getting enough goals from midfield, Rice, Odegaard. Speaking of Martin Odegaard, look, it was unfortunate, right? That goal, the chance created by Tierney, who was excellent in a late cameo, I must say. 2 beautiful crosses into Merino and then Odegaard, both of which we couldn't even get on target, unfortunately. Mikel Merino usually would, but he had a difficult match. He was almost concussed, I believe. When he was lying on the ground, I was quite worried. I was thinking, geez, he's not moving. Is this a really nasty head clash that's going to rule him out for a while? But credit to him, patched him up. Back of his head was bleeding. So all these things matter, right? I'm not going to go too hard at him. He's a very technical player, and like the chances he does get, he easily converts them or gets them on target. So I'm not going to go too hard at him this time, trying to head a fizzing cross in, and he missed it completely off target. Because if you're bleeding at the back of your head, right, it's painful, all right? It's damn painful. Surely it affects then when you see a hard low cross come in from Tierney and you'll have to climb up, leap and head it on goal. I mean, these little psychological factors, they do make an impact, right? So I'm not going to go too hard at him for missing that, but I'll get back to my point about Odegaard. If you ever wanted to encapsulate the types of season he's having, unfortunately, he kicked it into his own foot, right? On his left foot, the cutback, he stumbled and he kicked it into his own foot, and he blocked his own shot. It's just very, very unfortunate to see, right? So I'm certain, though, that he's got a point to prove Tuesday night UK time against Real Madrid, his old team. I'm sure he's got something special lined up over the 2 legs. Well, I certainly hope so. For them moving him on during his many years as a teenager at Real Madrid. So, look, I probably said just about enough on this particular match itself. It really does underline what Arsenal need. We need that game-changing player just to grab the game by the scruff of the neck. So an Alexis Sanchez type who would just grab the ball, charge in and just take it into their own hands. Take a shot from long range. Just be a match winner, a game changer in that regard. And it's no secret that the types of players that we're heavily linked with, from the likes of Ishak, which is that ship has sailed. I know his name still gets floated around more in hope than anything, or clickbait. Sesko or Gyökeres, those are the types of players. They're direct, strong, forceful. They've got a shot on them that they can rocket one in from distance. It's no surprise at all that that's the type of profile that Arsenal are continually linked to. Before I move on from the Everton match, just a closing reference. I continue to be amazed with what I'm seeing with Lewis Skelly's development. So he deserves a special shout out. He's had an incredible rise. He's in the spotlight, for all the reasons, that we sort of underlying reasons we know why the people lining up to peg him down, to be young, gifted, and black, of course, is a huge influence in all of that. But I just got to say, his reaction to after the penalty was given, right? That run he did from taking the ball deep in Arsenal's own half. We know he's a midfielder by trade, right? But to have the courage and the skill he basically was driving it into their box. He was only taken down by Tarkowski again, who copped a yellow card for that. He probably would have been off, right? If Trossard did what I said earlier, right? He would have been on a yellow already, ideally. But Lewis Skelly, incredibly done. It was just absolutely brilliant. What a run. They tried 2 or 3 times the same player to take him down. He just bounces off them. 18-year-old, right? He's very strong. He's very strongly built, a bit similar to Timber, his lower half. These legs are like tree trunks, very muscular, excellent physique, uses his strength well, twists and turns, rides challenges, bumps off them, bounces off them, but you can't dispossess him. That's the difference. He knows where the ball is. It's glued to his feet. And you have to absolutely chop him down to take him down. He doesn't just tumble over under the slightest bit of contact. I was really, really impressed with that. And, I can just see the intent, the fire inside of him. And what a moment it's going to be on Tuesday night when he lines up with the Champions League anthem, right? When he lines up for Arsenal. What a moment for him and his family for what the journey of the last few weeks. So a special shout out to him. Sorry, I did say I was about to leave the Everton match, but one final comment, and I'm sorry to do this. I can't help myself. I don't want to make it all about the refs again. But when we talk about the letter of the law, how many times has that finger been waved at Arsenal's way this season, right? Something by the letter of the law. The Everton player, O'Brien, he should have been sent off. Because you can't deliberately impede the goalkeeper like that when Raya's trying to kick out from the back line, right? He should have been off. Of course, in true Arsenal fashion, it's not. Had the roles been reversed, was the other way around, guess what? You know what the narrative would be, right? What's he doing? By the letter of the law, you gave him a decision to make. He's on a yellow card. The referee had no choice, blah, 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 blah. I'm just sick of it, right? I'm sick to death of it. And I'm just, yeah. Look, I'm just over it. Okay, I will close that chapter now on the Everton match, and let's move forward, shall we? Because Real Madrid, who was struggling for form, I must say. I read last week that Sociedad, I believe, they drew 4-4. Look, they can get out. No team is impenetrable. They lost in the league this morning to Valencia 2-1. Right, no one is perfect. No perfect football team exists. And what Real Madrid have that no one else really does is that aura, that ability to, in the Champions League, when it gets to this stage of the competition, right, they just have that belief, that mentality that somehow, some way, they're just going to make it happen. They've got the big time players to do it. And they've got the history, the pedigree, and that's what those intangibles is what Arsenal is coming up against, right? So, what we need to then focus on is what we can do, control our controllables, and some good selection dilemmas for Mikel to face in the lead up. But they can be get out. Outside of Arsenal, I don't often talk about my too much of my life or background outside of Arsenal. But look, just as a quick aside, I'm not just an Arsenal man, right? I'm pretty much a stay-at-home dad these days. Ex-corporate banker. I've closed the book on that for now. Doing other bits and pieces in other fields of work. I run a small Lego business. Yes, I'm a Lego collector and investor. Right, I love action. I love superhero movies. I'm a massive comic book nerd. Batman, Superman. Right, I absolutely love and adore that whole side of things. So, just in the movie realm, Predator. Right, the classic Arnold Schwarzenegger science fiction classic, or the all-time great films, Predator. Right, there's a key line in this that. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling this if you haven't seen the movie yourself, but referring to the alien, it says if he can bleed, we can kill it, right? The key line and the key learning is that I believe we can make Real Madrid bleed. If we make them bleed, we can kill them, right? I know it's a bit of a gruesome saying, right? But the underlying meaning is what I'm trying to draw out from this comparison is that we have the ability to hurt them. We can make them bleed. We've got Saka back. We've got an incredibly well-coached team. Now, Gabriel coming out is enormous, and I don't want to downplay this. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to suggest all will be okay if Kiwior steps in, right? But we have the system that we are so defensively sound. We have the system that we can try and keep them. We can hurt them. We can hurt them on the counter. We can keep them out. Our European record, again, with Gabriel and the team all the way, of course, that's the footnote, is that we are very difficult to score against in the Champions League. We have not been scored against at home in Europe until the second leg against PSV, and that only came about because we thumped them 7-1 in the first leg. That we could take a bit more of a different perspective going into the second leg, right? So. We are an incredibly good team, well-coached team. We have the quality and the caliber of players to hurt them, to make them bleed. I think with White starting, that is massive for Mikel because he now has the option of playing White next to Saliba as a centre-half. I do believe Timber should be right back. He's excellent lockdown one-on-one defender. Him against Vinny Jr. on that side, I feel a lot more confident about. Saliba against his compatriot in the middle, Mbappe, right? That'll be a tremendous battle. If he's got White next to him, I do lean towards that, them as the two centre halves. However, if Kiwior steps in, right, I'm confident he can do a job as well, right? Because he's been in the system now for 2 years, and to his absolute credit, he is an ultimate professional. He is fit. He is available. He's always ready to come in and do a job for his manager and his teammates. And you got to applaud that. Similar to Tierney, right? Like just the utmost professionals. You don't hear nothing from them. You don't hear any disgruntlement, complaining, bad-mouthing in the press or the odd leak in interview or the representatives coming out with little sound bites to journalists. You don't hear any of that, right? The tremendous credit to all of them, and we're stacked with a number of professionals. Jorginho, Marino, right? There's a host of them, and I really applaud that. You can see why Arteta is so picky and choosy in the type of profile and mentality and characteristics of people as human beings, first and foremost, bringing them into the club as human beings, right? Are they going to fit the type of criteria and culture that we have worked so hard to cultivate? So I'm confident Kiwior can come in and do a job. Lewis Skelly will likely be left back. He deserves it. It's his spot, especially with Calafiori out for a few weeks as well, injured, unfortunately. So I do believe we can make them hurt. Now, some key decisions to be made across the back line. I'm pretty sure Partey will start because he sat out the match on the weekend against Everton. So Partey, Rice, Odegaard, likely in midfield. And then the decision for Mikel to make is, do we do Marino up front? I think we do. I think we need his height and his size. He's also a very technical finisher. At the moment, if we get a shot on goal, I actually want Marino or Waneri to be taking those shots. I do believe, I don't have the stats to back this up, unfortunately, but just trusting what my eyes see and going off what I watch. So I do believe if we had the stats, in terms of conversion of chances, putting them on target, I believe Marino will be right up there. It wouldn't surprise me if he's in the top 1 or 2 at Arsenal. Ethan is another one, right? We want these guys taking the shots. Trossard's shooting has come off the boil a little bit, right? Odegaard's shooting, I've already covered that. It's completely regressed this season, unfortunately, right? So I want these guys close to goal in that final third. I want the chances to fall their way. And Martinelli will start on the left, I'm very confident of, because he's been in excellent form since returning from injury. The last week he's really produced. He's been saying, hey, I want that left wing back now. Mikel, please start me. And then all of a sudden, right, I touched on this earlier in the podcast, that Trossard as an impact sub, now that's a different dynamic. If you're a defender and you've done 65, 70 minutes against Martinelli, right, and then you look up and you see the substitutions being made, Leandro Trossard's coming on, right, that causes an impact. That makes a difference. With all the injuries, we haven't had that depth. We haven't had the attacking options on the bench, right? Teams can just know they can grind us out. We've got no Havertz, Saka, Martinelli, on the bench to bring on, right? They just know just keep the likes of the players on the field, keep them out, and we can wear them down. We've got no game changer on the bench, but now all of a sudden we do. Bukayo will start. I'm confident on the right, and then Marino in the middle. Across the two legs, we're looking at minimum 180 minutes, potentially, or 100 minutes each with injury time, and potentially another 30 if it goes to extra time. So there's so many minutes there to be shared, and I do feel that at times we will see Ethan amongst the mix as well. We also have the option of Trossard coming on as the false 9, right? Marino into midfield. So there's a whole number of combinations and permutations Mikel can play with, and really, really interested to see which lineup he goes with. I'm usually very hit and miss, terrible with my selection predictions. When I try and predict an 11, but I do feel that the lineup we saw in the second half against Everton, that seemed to be a bit of a trial, a bit of a test run of what we're going to see now against Real Madrid in 2 days' time, aside from Partey coming back into midfield, of course. So I'm excited in closing out this recording. I'm really excited. I cannot name too many other occasions as big as this. Yes, of course, this time last season we're up against Bayern Munich, and the Emirates was certainly up for it. The atmosphere was incredible. It was a little bit different back then because we just returned to the Champions League, right? And we still had a tremendous chance of the Premier League title at that time. So it wasn't just all about the Champions League or Bayern Munich, but the difference is 12 months on, not 12 years, 12 months later, such are the expectations around Arsenal, and the season has not gone remotely close to what many of us would have anticipated, is that there's so much focus and probably pressure as well, right? Like all of our chips are now on the Champions League, and the dynamic is different. Like there's a lot more scrutiny on this match, on this occasion. So that's why I feel that this is so big for the club. It's enormous. I cannot think of too many other matches or moments as big as this. It's absolutely huge. I cannot wait. I'm so proud of the club for being here, and I know we're going to give it absolutely everything we can. And I just hope that we can do ourselves justice, do ourselves proud, and come up with a result that we can then go and take away to Madrid in the next leg. I do believe we need to go there with a lead, right? Because strange things happen at the Bernabeu, and I don't want to get into the whole referee thing again, but I do feel we need a lead to take. It's where we faltered last season against Bayern, in that 15 minutes of, it was a few moments of madness, right? That was the difference in the tie when they scored those two quick fire goals in the first half. We took our eye off the ball a bit too much then, and ultimately that was the difference across the ties. So we do need a lead, I think, to take to Madrid, and I'm just confident we can do it. I'm really confident, and I'm just really excited for the match. I'm sure you are too, wherever you're watching. I hope you enjoy it. I'll be up bright and early Wednesday morning to watch, and when that anthem goes, right, and see the players, the faces, the lineup, the camera hone in on the likes of Bukayo and Martinelli and some of these players who have been there from the very start of this whole project, and for Mikel himself as well, right? Like, it's going to be emotional, right? Maybe I'll shed a tear. I don't know, right? It sounds a bit ridiculous, right? Because the match hasn't even kicked off, but just what an occasion. We deserve to be there. We deserve this, and we deserve to do ourselves, our club, our fans justice. And I'm just really, really looking forward to it. So thank you so much for listening in. I'll stop rambling on and bring this one to a close. If I could please ask, if you're listening on YouTube, if you could please be kind enough to like, subscribe. It makes a difference, please. It makes such a difference with the algorithm. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please consider leaving me a review. That would be tremendously beneficial to me. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful for you all being here. I'll be back on in a few days' time to discuss what is hopefully a resounding Arsenal victory. Oh God, how much I'd love to be talking about that the next time I press record. So thank you so much again. I will bring this to a close. Have a wonderful day. Look after yourselves, and come on, Arsenal.